This is Cecilia Dennis and Vanessa Arias, Vanessa's father. Cecilia's sister passed away over the weekend in a terrible crash on his motorcycle on I-80. And their family really is in a tough place and needs some help, and that's why we're here to talk to them today. First thing I wanted to ask both of you is, what kind of guy your dad was, your brother was. Tell us about him.
Tim's a family man. He's a man of God. He's got a good heart, generous, passionate, funny. He's just he's someone whose smile would light up a room. He's someone you can depend on, and someone who goes out of his way to help other people. But first and foremost, his priority was his family. He was born and raised in Fairfield, and they moved to West Sac in 2001, and he's been working at the refinery, Tesoro, and they've changed their name to Endeavor. He's been working there for 18 years. He's a union steward or leader. He's a refinery technician lead, and he's well respected. And he's been traveling to and from Martinez to West Sac for so many years, found a place where he could provide for his family. They bought the home here in 2001, and it didn't matter how far he had to travel to give them what they needed, just so they had what they needed. And
So go ahead, I'm sorry.
He was on his way to work when he died. And the family had already decided. So what was happening before this was Emma, his wife, my sister, was in England putting her father to rest. And they had already decided that this year, instead of spending money on gifts and so on, they would use what they could get together and pay for her to go to England so she could put her father to rest. And that's where she was when he was in the accident. And their daughter, Alana, was the one who was home with the younger ones and got the information that he had passed.
Oh my goodness. How old is Alana?
She's 20.
20.
Gotta be 20 years old and to get that phone call. I can't imagine.
Yeah, I would think I believe it was a knock on the door from the sheriff's office.
I can't imagine how she would take that news. It must have been devastating.
Certainly. She's been a rock. All of the kids, the whole family is amazing. It's evidence of their faith in God and their love for each other and the support system that they have around them to get them through the rough parts.
Now, as I understand it, even though they'd made this agreement about Christmas presents and the expense of Emma going to England, he was working some extra to try to bring in a little money for some presents for Christmas time, right?
He was always doing everything he could to bring in whatever the family needed. They had started a life insurance policy, but unfortunately it's not effective until January. So that was why close friends started the GoFundMe account to make sure that the family's taken care of, and we can pay for Tim's burial and funeral expenses. You know, we did some calling around, and that's a really costly thing, but we know that some way, somehow, through God works through everyone, and and they will be provided for. But we just ask, everyone to give what they can and show support in how they can. And I was looking through lists of what do you do to help someone when they lose someone, and what keeps reverberating in me is the best thing you can do is take care of those that they left behind, and that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, because as I understand it, in addition to the life insurance not being in place, there's very little in savings. That's why you moved to your dad moved to West Sacramento, right? Was to make it more affordable to live, but with such a big family to support, right?
Absolutely. He's done everything within his power to make sure that Emma could stay home and be a stay-at-home mom with the kids, and they have been a team to make that work. But yeah, it means that they don't have those things to fall back on. And it's true. There's no savings. They just we got to figure it out from here. How to keep the home and make sure all that they need is provided for, and that she can be home to heal and take care of the kids.
Yeah, because in addition to the funeral expenses and day-to-day expenses, there's a mortgage on that house, isn't there?
Yeah. There's there's bills to be paid. That doesn't go away.
Yeah, and the thing I keep thinking about is because it's so close to Christmas. With this plan, was there anything already in place for Christmas, or was it, a set plan that they were going to forego presents this year?
They had decided to forego presents. We were getting together as a family on Christmas Eve, and the focus was to be on quality time together. So their tree's up, but it's that just wasn't what was important. It was more important to make sure that Emma got home to put her dad to rest.
Is she back now from England?
Yeah, she was able to come back home immediately, get a flight, and someone helped pay for it. And her sister traveled with her, and she's home. She would be here if she could speak, but it's too much. It's too much. It's been a year of loss, even longer than that. Before this was our mom in March,
No, I'm sorry.
and my brother-in-law, my niece who's sitting here, her dad died, and there's just been a number of other things that have gone on in the family that have made things hard. But you work through it. So.
And working through it is one of the things I keep thinking about because, I know I'm not alone. I've lost family right before the holidays, and I know that can make it especially tough. How are you going to work through it? So close to Christmas.
You just continue to lean on each other. You accept the gracious help of others. You give love. You cry. And then you pray, and you keep faith in the big plan, and know that he's not hurting. He's where, he's already gone home, We just got to figure out how to fill that gap and pick up the pieces and be there for each other.
You know, and you mentioned, people being there for you and for the family, and I know we're at Southport Church here in West Sacramento, which is not only a large community, but a very giving community. We've seen that recently. How has the community responded? So, I mean, it's just happened in the last few days, less than a week, but I imagine there's been a pretty big outpouring.
There has been. I mean, immediately, their close friends who are also members of the church were right there. They're more like family than someone you might call just a friend. And they made sure that the kids were taken care of, and someone's always been there at the house, and they arranged for meals to be sent multiple times a day, and opened up the church here for communication like this, and just reaching out and spreading the word and offering to help in any way they can. And you know, I'm sure that there's ways that I can't even think of right now that people are supporting just any way they can. They're so willing to help. And yeah, I don't.
Yeah, I mean, I got the call last night from Pastor Micah, who said,
Yeah,
"Hey, can you help us?" And of course, whenever Pastor Micah calls, I come running, because he's that kind of guy that you want to step up when he says, "Hey, we have some people who are in need." We try to lend a hand when we can. So, with that in mind, if folks want to lend your family a hand, where do they go?
they go to GoFundMe. They look up Timothy Arias. We have a link on Facebook. We'll be sharing it any way we can, and that's the way to give. And we talked about who was Tim, and Tim is, he was a member of this community for so many years. He's a drummer here on the worship team. He taught classes to the youth. He's very involved. They both are. Emma and Tim have been an amazing team. And anything that people can give, no gift's too small. We appreciate.
And it sounds like it's not just a huge loss to your family, but a huge loss to this community.
Yes, absolutely. Tim is missed by so many already, and he makes an impact. He's still making an impact. He leaves behind exactly what matters, and that is how you make people feel, and love and family, and all the stuff that really matters in life. That's what Tim was about.